caring, compassionate community free of poverty. As a result, we now have representation on PAP 8chan from both counties, Alderman Councillor Tony Delamonte and Norfolk Councillor Peter Black. Their presence at meetings, their insight, direction, support has added another dimension to realizing our vision and mission. Today I am here with another ask. On behalf of Poverty Action, I am asking that Tamarack Vibrant Communities membership fee be cost shared by both counties. The yearly membership is $1,500, and I'm asking that Haldeman County pay $600 and Norfolk County pay $900 according to the prorated population. Let me give you a little background on Tamarack Communities. In previous years, the membership has been paid by the health unit, and last year, Community Living Access helped offset the cost of the membership. This year, budget cuts at the health unit, as well as budget constraints at Community Living Access, meant there was no money to cover the Tamarack membership fees. Poverty Action has no revenue to cover the membership costs. Vibrant Communities Canada, Cities Reducing Poverty, is a collective impact movement organized by Tamarack and aimed at reducing poverty for 1 million Canadians through the efforts of multi-sector roundtables and the alignment of poverty reduction strategies at the local, municipal, provincial, and federal levels. The communities engaged in this effort share the following characteristics: focus on poverty reduction, embrace the idea of collective impact, led and are governed by a multi-sectoral community roundtable, view the issue of poverty from a comprehensive lens, recognizing there are multiple causes and solutions, leverage the assets of the whole community to drive change, engage persons with lived experience in their poverty reduction efforts, and are committed to ensuring that the process includes learning and evaluation at every step. Here's a map of Canada, and you'll see all the cities and communities involved under Tamarack communities and their roundtables and efforts. So there are many membership rewards and benefits. Allow me to highlight a few. 2 complimentary passes to the annual Poverty Reduction Summit. A few of our members at Poverty Action, Tony Delamonte being one, were able to attend the 2015 summit in Ottawa and found the experience from start to finish extremely helpful and inspiring. It was unfortunate that this year it was held in Hamilton and we weren't able to attend, but we should have been here sooner. $1,000 matching coaching credit to hire professional or peer coaches recommended by Tamarack or identified in our community. Participation in Vibrant Communities Canada's shared evaluation process and access to evaluation support from Vibrant Communities Canada staff. Access to policy tools, publications, and online resources. Access to monthly webinars about various poverty reduction model approaches, successful initiatives in the areas of affordable housing, public transportation, income and employment, food security, early childhood development, and more. Vibrant Communities Canada's primary purpose is to help local poverty reduction initiatives in cities, towns, regions, provinces, and territories increase their capacity and their efforts to be successful. Thank you for your attention, and please consider supporting Poverty Action by funding the Tamarack Communities membership fee of $1,500. Thank you. Now, any questions, I guess?
Thank you, Marilyn. Very good. Any questions? Mr. Wells?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much for your deputation. My only question is, who suggested that you come before council and ask for the $1,500 after council cut it from the budget?
We have been discussing this, through the chair, sorry, to Councillor Wells. We have been discussing this at our monthly meetings. And it has, we've sorted this out. We thought about service clubs, we just found out that we weren't getting it because of the budget cuts. And then we started looking at other things. And because we have Peter and we have Tony on our poverty action now, we've talked about, I don't know if we really came right out and said it and went forward with this until both Peter and Tony says, you might want to consider this. So you can blame them.
Mr. Height?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the deputation. So it's because of budget cuts that this council made to the health board that you don't get your funding for this?
I would have to have Marlene, I guess, answer that question.
Through the chair to Councillor Height, there wasn't actually a budget line specifically for this year, and as Susan and I have gone through the budgets, there was an allocation last year for Tamarack. We had provided some budget lines for staff to go to Tamarack, but the membership specifically for 2017 had not been allocated. So to answer the direct question, the answer is no. However, we did not send anyone to Tamarack from the budget lines due to the fact that we didn't have the funding to support staff members to go, which would have included the councillor. The Tamarack membership is a separate issue that we would support as staff to be members, but we hadn't been part of the membership for 2017.
Okay, thank you. I, for one, I'd like to see where some of those other memberships went, because if we have to pick and choose, and we do it at this Board of Health level, I'd like to see that information. But since the time it was announced that you've lost your funding for this initiative, what fundraising programs or anything have you looked at?
Through the chair to Councillor Height, valid question. And we have gone, actually, recently. It was last week, was it, Roselle? I presented to 100 women who care Haldeman, but wasn't able to attain any. We have very limited. I think we might have a couple hundred, maybe, just from. I was awarded a check for $100. We may have a couple hundred in our charity, which is St. Paul's Anglican Church. Because you have to be able to give receipts, right, to these women. So,
Mr. Height?
Thank you. And now you mentioned that Haldeman, and here's the Norfolk County, we're getting the brunt of the bill here.
That was just a suggestion.
But they do, you'd mentioned earlier that a bunch of this stuff will go to them, so personally I'm thinking 50-50 split myself.
Well, that's how I had it first, and then I was advised, through the chair, to Councillor Height, initially I put 750, hey, whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe we could look in that across the entire Board of Health. Thank you.
Mr. Columbus?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marilyn, so we've actually missed the summit, right?
Yes, unfortunately. That was the first week of April.
That's valued at 2 passes for $1,360. So would you still need the $1,500 if that took up $1,360?
Well, we're looking at, what, is it 2000? Okay.
Through the mayor, so to answer the question regarding membership, it is $1,500 is my understanding, and given that we're now almost in May, we would prorate it, so we're looking at about $1,000 for the full membership. I would, if I may, Mr. Chair, like just to speak about the cost sharing. The cost sharing would be automatically allocated on a roughly 60-40 split due to the arbitration agreement between the two municipalities.
Oh, yeah.
Councillor, Mr. Broughton, please.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. Marlene, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but a couple of weeks ago we had a little argument about your membership in Alpha, I think it's called. And we talked about that for some time, and all of a sudden we were worried about where we were going to find $7,000, and you came up with that with no problem out of your budget. I'm just wondering if you could squeeze it a little harder this time and find another 1,000 in it there. Is that possible?
Through the chair to Councillor Brunton, we've already had those discussions, so absolutely we will be able to support this if directed by the Board of Health this evening.
Thank you.
Any further questions to our deputation? It's been moved by Mr. Black, seconded by Mr. Sonnenberg, that the deputation of Marilyn Antique respecting the Tamarack community's membership be received as information. Discussion. Those in favor? That's carried. And Marilyn, just want to say thank you to you, and I know how busy you are with promoting and assisting families in the counties, and I want to tell you, it does not go unnoticed, the work that you do, and we appreciate that. Marlene, we need $1,000 here, if council so desires. Do you want to talk to us about that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have looked in our budget lines, and given all of the gapping dollars that we're currently experiencing, we will be able to fund that effectively this year, and we'll bring it forward for 2017 for consideration.
And to deal with this year, would direction from council be appropriate, or would you want that in a motion?
Through the chair, I guess I'll ask the clerk what's the most appropriate process. I would assume through a motion.
Go ahead and respond. That's my thoughts.
Through you, I'd agree with the mayor. If it's in the budget and there hasn't been any resolution preventing it to date, as you mentioned earlier, then there'd be no need for a resolution at the Board of Health.
Mr. Black?
I was prepared to put a motion on the floor. But
I'm game for anything. It's just that the money's been approved.
You're saying that, or staff is saying, or the clerk is saying, that we don't need a motion, that they can allocate that funds on their own. Is that what?
If I can respond, I was looking for a show of hands to support that money being allotted, because it's already by resolution in the budget. It's available, but it hasn't been allotted. So if you wish to do a motion, I'm not going to.
Well, if you're going to do a show of hands, then I would put a motion on, because I'd like to speak to the motion.
All right. Mr. Black has moved that $1,000 be. Well, it's written out. This gentleman is miles ahead of me. Be right with you, Mr. Black. Mr. Black has moved that the membership in Tamarack communities be funded for 2017. I will need a seconder before we have discussion. And Brunton, Mr. Black, you have the floor.
Well, and I am getting my eyes opened, and I certainly appreciate being a council's representative on the Poverty Action Partnership of Haltom and Norfolk. A lot of very energetic, committed people around there, the employees of Norfolk County, the health unit, and various agencies, and certainly interested individuals and church ministers and groups. So there's a lot of people that are out there wanting to help the whole issue of poverty. And I don't know, maybe it's my white hair, Mr. Chairman, but I see more and more that if we can raise people from poverty, all of us will benefit. The whole society will benefit if we can take people that are struggling and get them to a place where now they're free to be creative and productive tax-paying members of society, rather than struggling and fighting every day to, where am I going to get that scrap of food and how am I going to feed my children? So I see this as a real benefit, that providing these funds will help this group be able to design more programs and at the local level, both the local level and at a higher level, so we can to really sincerely address the issues of poverty. I know I'd really like to thank Marilyn for coming forward. She's a very dedicated individual, and without people like Marilyn, a lot of things just wouldn't happen in this world. And the same goes with Roselle. Roselle's here as well as co-chair of the group, and she puts in a huge effort as well. So I think Marilyn has outlined the various benefits of being a member of this, and I think that they are substantial enough to warrant a membership in this group.
Anyone else wish to speak to this motion? Mr. Height?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Chair. I don't have a problem with the $1,500. I have a bit of a problem with the whole process on how it was basically taken from this group. Council provides direction for a budget cut. This group is affected by it. Okay? Council does have a $64,000 pot of money for grants for groups specifically like this. They go through, they have to provide a committee with business plans and go through a screening process. Here, Council, we had a surplus this year. We didn't even get enough grants to spend that money, and then we just took it off the table. But why is it different for two different groups? It shouldn't be like that. If we're going to do grants, they should all go through that same process, not have departmental, justification or permission that council doesn't even know about until we have a deputation that comes here before us. All right, for me, Mr. Mayor, that's not right. Treat everyone equally. And that's all these groups. I think this group has great benefits, but it should go through the same vetting process as all the other groups. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Black?
Well, I think it's a good point that Councillor Height raises, but is this group a little bit different? I was a bit confused in the beginning myself, like where did this group come from? What's its authority? Is it a private group, or is it connected to the health unit, or what? So I wondered if through you to Marlene or Susan, if they could maybe explain that relationship and why it might be a little bit different.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may, I think this group is different, and I think it's different because it is a group that does help us to enact our mandate. So particularly thinking about our new standards, and much of our new standards will be around developing partnerships with people in the community exactly like this particular group. As a result of that, the membership in organizations like Tamarack, which then by extension do allow us to fulfill our mandate, it does make sense to me for it to be something that it is funded through our department as opposed to through a general pot of money.
Thank you. That explains it for me. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to vote? Anything further? And again, the amount of money is roughly $1,000 prorated that we're partway into the year. Those in favor? There it is, carried. Thank you very much. Down to correspondence. Sorry, communication's a better word. There are 7 items here listed from page 33 through to 70. The first one on an alcohol strategy. Shaping Healthy Rural Communities Workshop Summary, Measles and Mumps Immunization, Student Immunizations in the 2017 School Suspension Process, which we talked about earlier, a staff report from Chris Lutzy on the Lyme disease update, another one on basic income, and finally, Smoke-Free Ontario strategy from our Ministry of Health here in Ontario. Is there anything there you wish to talk about? The motion is to receive all of them as information, but if there's one you wish to speak to, we'll do all that first. Councillor Black, if you have a question on any of these?
Well, don't necessarily have a question on number A, the alcohol strategy.
Yes.
I just, if I could make a comment on that. Well, and the reason I'd like to make a comment is because I did attend the alcohol forum today. Of course, it was a day-long workshop, and I couldn't stay for the lunch or the second half. But certainly the first half was very informative. And again, you know, I don't know, people change, and I know people that have known me might wonder, you know, where I'm coming from, because yes, I was probably one of those rowdy individuals way back when in high school, and did drink and did some different things. But now I'm older, and I see the value of having these forums and addressing problems with alcohol use. You know, where it begins to start, like in our schools. So we had all kinds of information and data, policies presented to us, and we had representatives from Norfolk County and from the Poverty Action Committee and staff members. I think it was very well received. I think for the first half, I thought it was excellent. And there's just many, many aspects of misuse of alcohol. Our OPP was there, Patty Cody and Scott Pipe from our fire department, and representatives from our ambulance service, both in Haldeman and Norfolk, and actually from Canadian Mental Health, and from even an individual who has adopted a couple of children that have fetal alcohol syndrome, and some of the nightmares that the behavior presented as a result of that create. It sort of brings a tear to your eye, that's for sure. I think it's very important that council support some of these issues with alcoholism, alcohol misuse. And I just have to congratulate the group on bringing it forward, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the future. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
And then there's another one.
Pardon?
Sorry. Chairman Luke, there is another one I wouldn't mind speaking to, or at least asking a question of.
That's in order.
And that is the income from Huron.
Yes, page 69, basic income of Ontario.
And more, I guess my thinking is changing, seeing that, you know, if we can bring people out of poverty, and I don't have any idea whether this basic income initiative will work or not. It is a pilot project in 3 different communities, I think Thunder Bay and Brant, just north of us, Brant County, Brantford, and Lindsay. I'm not sure if it's just Lindsay or Kawartha Lakes. And they're going to try the pilot project with these people, see how it rolls out. I definitely can see some benefits of lifting people up so they're not, so they don't have to scrape. And when you can lift them up, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs to that second level, then they can be creative and be productive individuals and contributors to our society. So I think it benefits us all to do that. And I would like to, is it okay if I ask the board to support this motion? I mean, to support this letter from Huron, and send it off, show them support, and send it off to the various levels of government?
It's my understanding that, Mr. Black, it's my understanding that this is a pilot project that the province has approved in 4 areas: Hamilton, Brantford, Lindsay, and the other one is
Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay. So I think it's a pilot project. I don't think it needs support. It is.
Okay.
It is being. It has been legislated. Let's go to the pro here.
Sure.
Marlene, do you wish to comment on this? I don't think we need to support this necessarily.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Black. Kathleen Wynne did announce the pilot project yesterday, and it is a 3-year study that will test how basic income will improve the health, education, and job prospects of those living in low incomes. So the areas that will start now in the spring will be Hamilton, Brant, and Brant County, and Thunder Bay, and later on into the fall, Lindsay will join also as a pilot project. So there will be about 4,000 people that will be included in the pilot, and they will need to be 18 to 64 years of age and have lived on a low income in one of the test locations for at least the last 12 months or longer. So just to answer your question, I don't believe there is required any motion or resolution. This pilot is happening, and we will be watching closely, and we will bring any updates as they're known to us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, and appreciate it. Look forward to seeing some of the results of the pilot project.
Absolutely. It's moved by Board Member Wells and seconded by Board Member Sonnenberg that the correspondence items A through G be received as information. Anything else you want to discuss in there? Those in favor? They are received as information. Any other business to come before this board? Mr. Height?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the first meetings that I had on this board, it had mentioned that Norfolk has one of the highest rates of cancer in Ontario. In the last few weeks, I've been out in my community meeting up with people, and I've actually bumped into quite a few that have been recently diagnosed. And that's a bit alarming, and I'm wondering if our health department is going to move forward with some type of cancer screening program to increase vigilance in the high-risk populations, or what work are they doing to help identify and help people get early detection of such a disease?
Through the mayor to Councillor Height, there are many cancer screening tests, etc., that are out there through primary care that we would work with. But specifically, we're not doing anything to target the screening, etc., through the health unit. We do look at chronic disease management, and we will be looking at that as we're reviewing the new standards that, as you're aware, just came out, and what impacts that may have as we move our programs forward.
So you'll be looking to address some of the things, like obviously it's a problem if Norfolk's one of the highest in Ontario.
So through the mayor to Councillor Height, specifically, I can't say specifically what we'll be doing at this moment, but we'll bring that forward at a future date as we work through those standards.
Okay, thank you.
Any other business? I'll go then to the confirming bylaw, moved by Board Member Columbus, seconded by Board Member Sonnenberg. That bylaw 2017-05-BH, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Board of Health for the Haldimand Norfolk Health Unit at this Board of Health meeting held on the 25th day of April 2017, be enacted, signed by the Chair and the Clerk, and affixed with the corporate seal. Those in favor? Thank you very much. And thank you, staff, for your reports and updates. That will conclude the Board of Health meeting today. I would like to, we will be having a break before 5 o'clock public meetings, but I would like now to go to our council agenda, if you will, and like to welcome everybody now that we have moved into our Tuesday, April 25th council meeting for Norfolk County. We do have a ceremonial activity, as we call them, that I'm very pleased to do at this time. So, Mr. Ford, if I could have you come down front, please, and join myself and Councillor Brunton, that would be very much appreciated. My goodness, we look dapper today, don't we? Wow. Good to see you. We're here to celebrate the retirement. They announced the retirement, I guess, although it was announced officially some time ago, of our GM for finance here in Norfolk County, or as I call him, our treasurer. And I have a little bit of information, if I may, I'd like to share. About you? You don't mind?
I'll remember it.
I'm more nervous than you are. I don't know why I'm always nervous. I guess because you're a lot bigger than me and I have to be nice to you. Well, John Ford is retiring after a combined 50 years of working in both private and municipal sector. This goes back to 1967.
68, 67, 68.
And I was still in elementary school in 1967. John began working in the municipal finance in that year, 67, for the city of St. Catharines. He held a number of junior positions then, eventually working his way up to accounting manager. And over the course of his career, he went on to work for the Lincoln County Separate School Board, the city of North Bay, the city of York, the city of Waterloo. And he also worked for Haldimand County in the capacity there as treasurer before finally coming to Norfolk County back in the fall of 2007. My goodness, 6.5 years ago. Wow, they go fast. Well, John was always eager to welcome new challenges and experiences, and ventured into employment with the private sector from 1984 until 1996. During this time, he was a national director, Government Systems of MAI Canada Limited. He was responsible for the management of the Government Systems Business Unit with staff in 10 branch offices across Canada, providing systems and consulting services to over 350 municipal and local governments. It was a significant challenge coming from an accounting and finance background to manage a national sales and marketing organization. However, he certainly excelled in this new role. That is quite a changing career, I must say. John then went on to work for JEF Consulting Services, and he provided business management consulting to municipalities in the areas of information technology, strategic planning, business process re-engineering, and project management. This experience would prove useful in such projects as the City of Toronto amalgamation and the Waterloo North Hydro restructuring, developing policies, financial planning, and other strategies for newly structured single-tiered municipalities, department reorganization, and streamlining operations. This was all before coming to Norfolk County. This is very impressive, and I don't know who wrote this, but they did a great job. I'll tell you that. This is excellent. And during his time with Norfolk County, John has provided sound financial advice to council, and I think we would agree wholeheartedly with that, John. There's no question. Sound advice to senior management and, of course, to department heads. John has taken the lead on implementation of Norfolk County's new financial system known as the BEAST project, building enterprise applications successfully together. This was a very large project consisting of replacing Norfolk County's core financial system, implementing an asset management system, and re-engineering all business process across our municipality. John indeed has excellent leadership. He has excellent staff relation skills and has been instrumental in the success of this project. Almost there. One of John's strongest attributes is his ability to empower and support staff to take responsibility and make decisions, improving productivity and morale. He has always had an open door policy with all his staff and particularly enjoys mentoring any new recruits that come on board. Here's a few of the mottos that John lives by. Number 1, keep your eye on the main objective. Don't sweat the small stuff. Number 2, celebrate successes no matter how small you think they are. And number 3, you've told me this so many times, choose the hill you want to die on. Absolutely. Well, John, in closing, council and staff, we wish you and your wife, Kathy, All the best in the future. We know that you have 3 sons, Wiley, Jarrett, and Devlin. Holy, 10 grandchildren who are all very eager to spend more time with Grampy. And all of us would like to take this opportunity, John, to sincerely thank you for your dedication to this county, and we all wish you a very, very long and happy and healthy retirement. All the best, mister.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Broughton, and then he may want to say a word in a minute.
Okay.
Doug, do you want to just, here, I'll just, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Luke. This is a little certificate of appreciation for John, and I'll read it, and it's as follows. On behalf of the Council of the Corporation of Norfolk County, I extend sincere congratulations to you on your retirement from Norfolk County. Your service and dedication over the years are recognized and applauded by all. Council extends its thanks and wishes you well in whatever endeavor you undertake in your retirement. Signed on behalf of Norfolk County Council, this 28th day of April. And John, as knowing you as a very frugal manager in your department, we have a little token of appreciation. I think it's a $5 coupon to Tim Hortons. Okay.
I'll find a lot of you there.
Okay. Anyways, congratulations.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Well, listening to what Charlie just read, I don't know who wrote it. I wrote some of it years ago, but I don't know who wrote all of the rest of it. I'm not too sure I know who that guy really is. But when over the last couple of, I guess, few weeks, I've actually had, in front of a couple of different groups I'm associated with, had similar comments made about that, and I began to realize that, my God, I have been working for 50 years, or close to it. That's why I feel so tired. Almost 40 years of that's been in the public sector. 27 plus years of it as the senior finance guy, the treasurer, CFO, whatever you want to call it. I've had a very rewarding career. I've enjoyed everything that I've done. The longest time that I've been treasurer is here, so you guys have had to live with me for the longest period of time as the treasurer. I've immensely enjoyed the career I've had. I've immensely enjoyed working here. The last project that we worked on was implementing a new financial system and re-engineering a whole lot of stuff. My only regret is that I wasn't here 10 years ago to work on that, because we've broken the back of a lot of issues. We've set the course for the future, but there's a point in time when these old bones have got to pass that torch on to somebody else. And 3 years ago, I hired James to be the person who was going to replace me. I'm glad that council supported that plan. You're going to be well taken care of with James. You're going to get somebody just a little bit shorter, but as Councilor Sonnenberg said, he's a lot younger and he doesn't have gray hair. So I think you'll enjoy that. Really appreciated working with you folks and with all the GMs and managers and staff over the years. It's been a very rewarding experience, and thank you.
Again, John, thank you very much for all your hard work and all the best. There are no changes to the agenda that I'm aware of. Do we need a motion to proceed? I don't have anything here. Yeah, that's okay. Nope. Moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Wells, that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion, those in favor? Carried, thank you. This time I'll ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest, and if you have one, if you just tell us what the nature of it is. Hearing none, thank you. We are scheduled to go in closed session. I'm looking at the clock, and the public meeting starts in 19 minutes, and we do need a break. I'm suggesting we do the closed session after the public meeting. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait and do the closed session right after the public meeting. I'll do a few more minutes of the agenda, get started, and then we'll have a break. I'm going to over to page 126. This is the adoption and or correction of the council meeting minutes from 2 weeks ago. It's our regular council meeting minutes dated April the 11th, 2017. Anything in there to note? Anybody have anything they wish to discuss in that? If not, I will declare those minutes adopted as printed. On page 144 is the first of two communication items. The first one is from Nancy Cartwright. This is correspondence on phase 2 of the Dover Coast. Just give me a second, I'll have to go down and find the motion. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Wells, seconded by Councillor Geisens, that the correspondence of Nancy Cartwright be received as information. Discussion on her communication. Councillor Wells.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I do have some concerns and some discussion about this particular piece of correspondence that we have received.
And before you do it, could I just ask the clerk for one clarification, and I'll give you the floor?
Sure.
Andy, this morning, I believe I signed phase 2 of the Dover Coast development, and I know I gave it to you. I hope you still have it. Is it fair to say that this phase 2 now is signed by yourself and me?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I don't think it's been registered yet. It's going over to planning for registration, but it's all signed now.
Okay, so you can continue, but I wanted to make sure that we would be able to report that it was signed and must be registered yet. Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Wells. Thank you.
Okay, so for clarification, if the agreement has been signed, what does that specifically mean to the residents who are waiting to have their home built? Because basically, this is what this is all about.
Through the mayor, Councillor Wells, what this means is the developer has now satisfied all the requirements so that the staff can have the mayor and clerks execute the agreement, and it be registered on title at the registry office, and we are now legally able to issue a building permit.
So if there are, again, Mr. Mayor, through you, if there are any further delays, it would not be the result of Norfolk County causing the delays. Am I correct on that?
Through the mayor, just for clarification, Norfolk County did not cause these delays, but this paves the way for the building permits to be issued, construction to start.
I think, to be fair to you, we may not have caused it, but certainly we are being held accountable and as the cause of it. That's the community.
Correct.
I think that is a fair comment. And all I want to clearly say at this meeting is, for anyone who is listening, Norfolk County now is ready to sign the agreement, and if there are any further delays, it is not Norfolk County's responsibility. That's what I want to get out tonight. And that's what I hear you saying?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a load off the
Thank
people.
you.
There
And
are people out there who have been waiting almost a year to have their home built. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I may, Councillor Wells, I too have been getting over probably the last 6 months emails, phone calls about the delays, and I want to clarify, as you know, Ms. Cartwright in her letter talks first of all about a delay of this phase 2 caused by the golf cart crossings. To Lee Robinson, would you wish to comment? Did the golf cart crossing issue delay this phase 2?
Through the mayor to council, it did not. It was one of multiple issues that needed to be resolved, and staff pushed the report through to make sure that it was addressed in March. And as you can see, we're still over a month after we dealt with the golf cart crossing before the developer had fulfilled all the obligations.
And my last question is, and more than one concern, was that the signing of a fence agreement between the developer and the county/MTO on Highway 6 was another reason that this phase 2 is being held up. In your opinion, was that a part of any of the delays, the fence agreement?
Through the mayor to council, no, it is not. The fence agreement was not actually required to be entered into. It was simply a clause in the development agreement that said they were going to be required to enter into a fence agreement, and that was addressed as soon as it came to the attention. It was included in the development agreement and has been in the development agreement from the day we became aware of it.
So the fence agreement is still not signed?
That is correct, nor will it probably be
So-
signed for a considerable period of time. It needs to be drafted first. It was the requirement for it to be included in the development agreement, not the actual fence agreement.
So obviously the fence agreement, which still not is signed, has nothing to do with the signing of phase 2 because phase 2 is now signed. It's funny how the stories get out there about who causes delays. Any other discussion on the correspondence? Been moved, seconded. I read it. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Robinson, for that explanation. I'll do the last correspondence item, then we'll have a short break. Page 146, Joe Aguida. He is the manager of the Delhi District German Home. He is requesting temporary license for a liquor permit extension June the 2nd, and it is the Firefighters Barbecue. I'll read the motion, then open it for any comment or discussion. Moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Councillor Geisens, at the request of Joe Gita for a temporary liquor license extension in Delhi for June the 2nd be approved, subject to receipt of all required approvals. Discussion on the resolution. If not, those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. We will have a recess until 5 o'clock. Thank you. Who made the sandwiches? You know, I got thinking about it. It takes a while for me to really find. And I think, you're not going to be home unless you stop on the way for something. Estimated ETA. I got home, Diane said, well, that's going to be a little bit of drive for that new county manager, Mr. Cribbs. And I said, well, if he leaves at 10 after 9, 5 after 9, I'm thinking he's hitting the driveway about 4 to 11 is my guess. So I figured he'd be in before 11, but let's see if we can get out of here. Thanks. I think we will. I think we will, sir.
Overall,